Yeah, hi team. Let's get started. So basically, last session we have seen theoretical part about rep manager. So today we are going to do practical on rep manager. So this is the configuration. So with the help of rep manager, we are going to perform the streaming replication. So basically, rep manager uses the streaming replication. On the top of streaming replication, it provides few of the functionalities like automatic failover and switchovers options we use to get from rep manager, right? So to configure the replication, first we need to install the rep manager package. So rep manager is a open source. We have to download this package from internet and we can use this rep manager. So first, once we install the rep manager, then we are going to um, configure the necessary parameters at the primary side. Okay, and then we are going to set up a replication with the help of rep manager. Okay, so after you configure the parameters, we have to register. Register the primary database into the rep manager, and we also create the user as well as the database for the replication, and we register this database, primary database, at the primary side. Then we are going to do a replication. Replication before we set up. Anyhow, we do the initial load by using the rep manager, and we are going to register the standby database as well. Okay, so these are the steps we are going to follow right now. So I have two servers, which is primary IP is 1.18, and I have standby server which is 1.11. Okay, so I'm assuming this is my standby and this is my primary. My Postgres cluster is up and running in both the clusters. Okay, so now as a part of rep manager, first we have to connect to root and we have to install the rep manager package. So for this, first I will try to list what are the rep manager packages available in my repo. Okay, looks like something is locking. Let me kill this session. Okay, these are the rep manager packages available in my server. Okay, so currently my version is 15. So I have to go with the 15 version. So this is the package which I have to install. So just give install rep manager. Similarly, we can also do from the standby. Okay, so this is my standby mission. Here also I will try to list what are the packages available for rep manager. Okay, so I have to install for 15. Yes. So either you can install with M method, or you can directly go to the Git repo of rep manager. You can download the package and you can just install with make and make install utilities. You can directly install this rep manager and you can use this rep manager. Okay, so it's completed in primary and it's completed in standby as well. Okay, now let's switch to our Postgres user on both the sides. Okay, so first let's go and configure the necessary parameters in the primary side. Okay, in my primary, I have my PostgreSQL.conf, all the mandatory parameters. Okay, so listener address, port, what else we have? Archive parameter, right? So we can enable our cluster should be in archive mode. archive command. My location is /home postgres/org. Okay, so we'll make sure this location is exist. Okay, and the main important parameters related to replication, right? So wall level. So wall level should be replica, and what else we have? hot_standby. Okay, this should be on, and we also have max wall senders, right? So yeah, so max wall senders and max replication slots, and we also have wall log hints, right? So this is very useful to rejoin the failed node to a cluster, right? So this is very important. So we have to enable wall lock hints. Okay. So why we need to enable this? We are going to see. So we are going to see practically how to rejoin the node back if it is failed. Okay. So these all parameters we already know we have enabled in the streaming replication. But now one more important parameter is shared preload libraries. Okay, so this is very important. To load your package libraries, we have to enable this parameter. So here we have to use rep manager, right? Because it has to load all the rep manager package libraries into binaries, right? So that is the reason we have used the rep manager as a shared pre-libraries parameter. Okay, this is the only extra parameter that we are going to add in the rep manager. So apart from this, all the parameters we already aware of how we added in the streaming replication. Similarly, we add here. Okay, so once this is added, let's restart the cluster. So just verify the parameters. So logins and everything is fine. Okay, so wall level is enabled replica, and let's do a log switch. Yes, if you just go to home Postgres, okay, my archives is generating. Okay, so which means I have enabled the necessary parameters. So for what we did, we have installed the rep manager package and we have enabled the necessary parameters at the primary site. So we also installed the rep manager at the standby so that replication, how we can set up and how we can do the initial load, so that we will see. Okay. So for now, I have enabled the necessary parameters in the primary site. So next thing is I have to create a user, okay, for replication as well as the database, okay, because I need both users and database to be created. So even I don't need to go to pSQL prompt and create the user and database. Here directly we have create user utility. Okay, we have create user utility as a part of your binaries. Even you can use this command to create the users, or you can directly go to pSQL and create user command. Okay, we already know how to create. So here I have to create the user and I have to grant as a super user. Okay, for this I'm giving option yes. Okay, if you have doubt, you can just do --help. Okay, so here we have options. So for example, in this case, I'm going to use -s to grant a super user. Okay, so create user super user, and the username I'm going to create as rep manager. You can give any name. Okay, here I'm giving as a rep manager, and I have granted the super user for this user. Okay, and I need a database to be created. So for this also we have utility called create_db. So I'm going to create the database as rep manager, and I'm going to grant ownership to this database as rep manager user. Okay, so I'm creating the database rep manager and I'm owning and assigning the ownership to this database as a rep manager. you can just connect to pSQL and you can just use /tu plus. Okay, so rep manager has been created and it is a super user, similarly like Postgres. And if you just q /l plus, okay, I have a user called rep manager and the owner for this user is rep manager. Okay, so now why I have to create this user? Basically, you have to authenticate, right? So even in streaming replication, we have created a user for replicating, right? So standby database will connect directly to the primary with the help of rep manager user, and it will fetch the vol files as it generated from the primary. So this is the how the streaming replication works, right? So rep manager also uses inbuilt, okay, it supports basically streaming replication, but only thing is on the top of basic streaming replication, it supports like automatic failover and switchover. So for that purpose only we are using the rep manager, right? So because in inbuilt Postgres streaming replication, we don't have automatic failover and switchover kind of things. So that is the reason we are using. So we have created a user and database. Now we have to allow this user in the hpa.conf, right? So let's go to PG data and open pghpa.conf file and just add the IP of CATR format of both primary and standby range. Okay, so here I'm allowing rep manager database, rep manager user, and CATR format I'm just allowing. So my IP range is 192.168.1 dot. Instead of mentioning the separate IPs for primary and standby, I can go with /0 and CATR format. Okay, and I can just give the authentication mode. So you can give any authentication mode as you like. So if you want to allow password, you can go with MD5, otherwise trust. Okay. So I have added the entry in the hpa.conf so that this rep manager user is allowed, okay, in the primary database with the set of that range IP. Since we added necessary changes in the hpa.conf, we need a restart, right? So if you add any entry in the hpa.conf, we definitely need a restart of the cluster. So for this purpose, I'm going to restart my cluster. Okay. So this is done. Okay. Next thing is for rep manager, I have to create a configuration file. Okay. So configuration file is very important. So in the configuration file of rep manager, we are going to add the node name and the connection node, sorry, the connection information of the primary. So when you create the configuration file in the standby, we also create for standby. Okay, first let's create it on this primary side. So we have to add the node unique name and connection details and the data directory path, Postgres binary path, and you have to mention whether you need an automatic failover or not in the configuration file. And we also need to add how to promote the cluster in case of failover happen. How to promote the cluster? We have to add a promote utility in the promote underscore command option. And we also have follow command. Okay, so these are the two important commands which we need to add. One is promote command and follow command. Okay, so let's go and add those configurations. For rep manager configuration, I have created a folder called rep manager. Okay, inside this folder, I am going to create configuration file name with rep manager.conf file. Okay, so this is very important file. Here we are going to define all the failover things and promote utilities, and after failover which node it has to follow. Okay, those details we are going to add in the rep manager.conf. So let me, I have already prepared, so let me paste this details. Okay, so let me save. So let me do a cat. So here what I added, the node ID. So this is just to uniquely identify this node, okay, as a primary. This is like DB unique name in Oracle, how you have, right? So this is unique to uniquely identify. I have added the node ID and node name, okay, as primary, and the connection details. Okay, so let's add the connection details. What is my IP of my primary? It's 18, right? So let me go and update the value as 18. Okay, 11 is standby IP. Okay, primary IP is 18, right? So I have added the IP address of my primary in the connection info and the username and the database name. Okay, and connect underscore timeout is 2 seconds, which means every 2 seconds, rep manager D process uh, will keep on pinging. Okay, so we'll keep on checking your replication. This is the data directory. Okay, so PG underscore data directories, this is of my primary, and this is important. Whether if you need an automatic failover, you have to define here. Okay, if you not mention this, again you have to do manual failover. Okay, and promote underscore command, right? So promote underscore command, here we are telling to promote as a standby, right? In case of failover happen, it is doing automatic failover. So at what time it will do an automatic failover? So basically we have few parameters, okay, where we can control. So by default, it will wait for 60 seconds, which means 1 minute. If your standby is not available, sorry, if your primary is not available for 1 minute, it will automatically do a failover. Okay. So here we are mentioning the promote command, which means we know that promote command is used to do a failover, right? So similarly, we have mentioned this. So rep manager will automatically do a promote, and this is my rep manager configuration file. Okay. And now, after a failover, which node it has to follow? So we have a concept called upstream, right? So it follows the standby, right? After after you do. So that is the reason we have mentioned the upstream node as which node it has to follow. Okay. So that this you will understand, like when we do the show command in the cluster. So what node it is currently following. After doing a failover, which node it's gonna do follow. Okay. So these are the two important commands. These three are very important commands. These all commands we already know. This is just connection info, data directory, and this is the bin directory of my Postgres cluster, and this is the log file. Okay, it writes all the logs into here, right? So who will write this all data into this log file? Rep manager D process will write. Okay, so this is my configuration file of my rep manager. Okay. And when you install the rep manager package, okay, so you will get rep manager command line utility, and you also get rep manager D domain, okay, as a part of your Postgres binaries. So let's go and see. Our binary location is USR 15 bin, right? Here, if you just do rep manager start, okay, see here you have rep manager as a command line, and rep manager D is it's a background process, okay, or domain process, which keeps on monitor your replication. So when you do install rep manager and respective version, it creates these two utilities as a part of your binaries. Okay, we are going to use these utilities only for setting up this entire replication, right? Okay, now what we can do, so we can just use rep manager command line utility, and my -f is to point out my configuration file. So this is my configuration file, and I have to register my primary cluster to the rep manager. Okay, so for this, what I can do, I can just do primary register. So attempted to install extension rep manager. So when you register, it automatically creates extensions, and it registers the node as node ID 1, because we have mentioned in the configuration file as node ID 1, right? Now you can just use cluster show utility to show what are the nodes which it has added so far. See, so far we added node ID is 1, and this is my primary, the name which we have given in the configuration file, and the role which is currently it's acting as a primary. Okay, and it is running. Currently, it is not following any upstream node, right? Because still we haven't set up the standby. So when we add the standby in the rep manager, it also tell the upstream node which node it is following. Okay, and this is the connection details. Okay, and this is the priority. So priority default is 100. So basically, when you have multiple standbys, okay, when you add the witness node, okay, separate, and in that moment, so witness node will use this priority value, and it will choose which standby has to become a new primary. Okay, so for now it is a default. You don't need to add anything. Okay, so this is the connection details. Okay, so any questions so far? Okay, so far what we did, we have installed the rep manager package. We have added necessary parameters at the primary side, and we created a user database, and we allowed that user in the hp.conf. And we have created the configuration file, rep manager configuration file. In that rep manager configuration file, we added the primary details, and we have mentioned we have to do an automatic failover, and the promote command and follow command we have added. And we have registered this this primary cluster in the rep manager. Okay, to see the registered, we are just listing with the show command. Okay, so now let's come to the standby. So I also have the rep manager folder. Okay, here I'm going to add for standby. So for standby also we need to add, right? So what is my IP of my standby? Let me take it's 1.11. So we have to add similarly how we added in the primary, same we need to add at the standby side. So rep manager.conf file, right? So here also we need to add what is the node name and what is the role. Okay, those things we have to add, right? So let me copy. Okay, so IP is 1.11. Okay, so let me save this file. So here I added node ID as 2 to uniquely identify, and the name as standby. Okay, and the IP address and the data directory, failover, promote command, everything is same. Okay, so promote command and follow command and the log file and the bin location. Okay, so this I added in the standby side as well, right? So this is the configuration file which we added right now. Okay, now so we added the configuration file at the both the side. Now we need to do a initial load. Okay, for doing initial load, what we do basically in streaming replication, we use the PG base backup, right? We have dropped all the PG data directory in the standby, and we have done the PG base backup. With the help of PG base backup, we have taken the backup and we have started as a standby, right? Similarly, we do with the rep manager. So rep manager inbuilt, it uses the PG base backup only. Okay, that we'll see how we can do that. So first, let me check whether cluster is running. So my cluster is running. Let me stop it on the standby side. Here, let me go to PG data and delete all the directories. Okay, I'm just doing rm minus rf start. Why I'm removing? Because I'm going to take the fresh backup from primary. With the help of rep manager, I'm going to connect and I will fetch all the full backup, okay, with the help of rep manager. Now I don't have any PG data directories. So now let's go to or bin location. Okay, so with the help of a rep manager, we can do a clone, okay, standby clone. So we have an option in the rep manager. To just see the options what we have. So we can also do a dry run. Okay, first we'll do the dry run before we do an actual clone. And we have standby, registered, unregistered, clone. Okay, so we have clone. We also have switchover that we'll see later. Clone, promote for failover and follow. Okay, so this all options we have for standby, right? And this is for primary. So we can register, unregistered. Okay, and this is the to see the events like cluster show, cluster event, okay, cluster cross check, cluster cleanup. Okay, this all is just to show the status of the cluster. Okay, and when you add witness, you also need to register this witness. Okay, let's do that. And we also have the rep manager D domain process. This also we need to start, okay, to monitor your replication. So that we'll start later. First, let's do a clone rep manager. So I have to connect remote server, which is my primary, right? So let me take the IP of my primary, 1.18. So I'm connecting to remote machine with the help of rep manager user. And what is my configuration file path? Postgres rep manager, right? And our configuration file is repmanager.conf. Okay, now I will do clone, right? So where is standby clone. Before I do clone, let me do a dry run because I want to check whether I can able to do a clone or not with the help of rep manager. What it is telling, provided extension, max all senders, checking for available all senders. Okay, fine. Connecting to the server 18 port, no hp.conf entry for replication. Okay. So at the primary side, we need to add an entry for this IP for rep manager user in the replication side as well. Okay. So let me go and add that. So we allowed in the IPv4, right? So, but since we are doing a replication right now, it looks for the entry in the replication privilege. Okay. So we can also add the same entry in the replication side. So added in the, here we can add as a replication, okay, because by default, it should be replication. Okay, so host replication for user rep manager, and this is the IPs. So now let's restart the cluster because when we change anything, it has to restart to affect the values. The cluster has been restarted. Then let me do a dry run again. Okay, all prerequisites for standby clone are met. Okay, if you see, it is giving some hints like you use -f fast checkpoint option, okay, to do a force checkpoint. Otherwise, you have to wait for checkpoint. And internally, what command it is executing rep manager? If you see, PG base backup only, right? So it is using internally PG base backup, and it is taking the backup with the help of PG base backup only. So this is similarly like how we do in the streaming replication, right? Similarly, what it is taking internally, rep manager also using the PG base backup. So now let's do without dry run, just to standby. Okay, I would have done the checkpoint, but anyhow, yeah, checkpoint has been done. I mean, and you could see, so PG base backup has been completed. Okay, standby clone completed. And what it is telling, you can start your Postgres server. And after that, it is telling after starting the server, you need to register the standby with a rep manager, with a rep manager standby registered utility. Okay, so it has done a cloning. Let me do where let me go to PG data. if you do ls minus ltr, it has copied everything from the primary, right? And if you see here, it automatically creates the standby.signal file, right? We don't need to create. Even it also creates this primary connection details as well. Okay. Rep manager automatically creates this primary connection in the auto.conf, and it also creates the standby.signal. Right now, only thing is we need to start the cluster. So after starting the cluster, we have to register, right? So I'm going to start the cluster. So my standby cluster has been started. You can just check whether it is in recovery mode. So recovery mode means it is a standby, right? So you have started the cluster with a read-only mode as a standby. Now whatever changes you do in the primary, it's keep on replicating. So before we check the replication, first we need to register our cluster, right? Our standby cluster. So let's go to USR bin location, rep manager -f. What is my configuration file? This is my configuration file, and we have to just say standby register. Okay, your standby cluster also will register in the rep manager. Okay, node ID 2 has been successfully registered. Okay, and also what it say, upstream node, assuming upstream node is primary. Okay, so since you have already registered the primary and it has taken that as a upstream node. So now let's see cluster show. If you see here, it also added the standby. So 2 is the standby and the role is standby role. It is running and it is following the primary, which means it is replicating this primary. Okay. And this is the connection details of my standby. So this is how you can see. Okay. So if you want to show, if you want to list out like, is there any errors for this replication, you can just use cross-check utility. Okay. So cross-check utility will give you the information of both the databases, and it also detects any problem. So it's just giving a warning that node 1 is inaccessible via SSH connectivity. So it is telling both should have SSH connectivity between primary and standby. Okay. So this is recommended, but even not mandatory as well. Okay. So let's do now a replication test, whether replication is working or not. Before that, we also need to add rep manager D domain process. We need to start, right, to monitor your replication so that it generates everything a log file, and in that log file we can see. Okay, for that what we can do at the primary side, let's go to USR bin location. So if you don't want to go every time like this, you can add as a bash profile. Okay, so for rep manager, here for rep manager, not rep manager, we have to use the rep manager D process. Okay, so we know that rep manager D is a background process which will keeps on monitor, right? So we have to start this process, this domain process. Then only it will monitor your replication. So for this, what I'm going to do is I'm telling to the rep manager D process, this is my configuration file, so that it will start the so it will start monitoring. Okay, so I'm going to start this background process in the primary. Okay, when I start this background process, all the log file will be redirected here. You see the log file, so it has started monitoring. Okay, so if you see here, it is using the ping command. So with the help of ping command, it's keep on monitor your standby. So let's do the same in the standby server. So we also need to add same in the standby. So rep manager D process, and this is my location, right? Rep manager D process. Okay, here also it has started monitoring. Okay, it generates a log file inside your rep manager folder. It generates a log file and it's keep on monitor. the log file. Okay, now what we can do, I'm going to check whether replication is working or not. So I'm going to create a database Sciops. Okay, so let me see here in the standby whether it's replicating or not. Okay, Sciops database has been created. Now let me go and create a table. So let's see. Okay, I have to connect to Sciops. Let me check. So this table has been replicated right now. Okay, so start from test. And you can also try to insert. You can just check those records is replicating to the standby. So which means our replication is working fine. Okay, so as usual, you can use your utilities to monitor the replication, right? Select start from pg stat replication, right? So you can use this utility and you can monitor if the three values is same, write lesson, this three values is same, then your replication is perfectly working, which means your standby is in sync with the primary. Okay. So as usual, you can use this utility to monitor. Okay. And we have tested the replication is working perfectly. Now what we can do, we can test the failover situation. Before that, I can just open the log file of my okay, it's monitoring the connection of your primary. Now what I can do, due to some hardware issues, my primary is no longer available. Okay, I'm just stopping my primary cluster. Let's see. See, it is telling unable to ping this host, right? So it's keep on checking your primary is available or not with the help of ping command. Okay, so it does the 6 attempts. Okay, first attempt is done, second attempt is done. It is not able to. We'll see what happens. So my primary is down right now. So rep manager D process will keep on monitoring your primary. If your primary is not available, we have added automatic failover, right? So when we add that failover equal to automatic, then it does the automatic failover. So we'll see. So as discussed, by default, it is 60 seconds, but you can change your if you want 15 minutes, if your 15 minutes primary is not available, then you can do. Okay, if you see here, waiting for 60 seconds, and this is the parameter. Okay, it waits for 60 seconds. If you want, you can just increase. Okay, for now I have just by default I left as a 60 seconds. If your primary is not available for 60 seconds, it do a promote command and it does a failover. So servers was successfully promoted to primary, right? So your standby server ID2 was successfully promoted to primary. And your primary is no longer available right now, right? So now if you see, manager, -F, and this is my configuration file. Okay, if I just use cluster show utility, so what it is telling, your primary is failed. Okay, and if you see, it has taken, your standby has taken the primary role right now. So previously it was standby role, right? It has taken the primary role and currently it is running. So which means your primary is no longer available and it is failed. And even in the warning command also it is telling unable to ping this primary node because primary is no longer available and it is in fail. So that your standby has taken the primary role and currently this is acting as a primary right now. Okay, so this is how the automatic failover will happen in the rep manager. Okay, now So for example, maybe after a few hours, okay, your primaries came back. Maybe it is some hardware issue and whatever issue, network issue, it has fixed right now, and your primary is back. Okay, and you have to join this primary as a new standby, not my primary. So you have to join this as a new standby, and it has to follow this standby right now. Okay, so with the help of PG rewind option, we can able to replicate. So actually what it is not taking again fresh backup. So wherever the LSN it has stopped, from that LSN, the PG rewind utility will automatically pick the changes from the primary. Okay, now what I will do, I will just go and do some changes in the new primary. So let me check first it is change the role, right? So whether it is in recovery mode or not. So currently it is false, which means it is in read write mode, right? So it is acting as a primary right now. And let me go and do some changes. So let me also create a table. Let me insert few records. Okay, so after failover, I did some changes in the new primary. As usual, the primary will keep on, application will connect and it do some changes. After 4-5 hours or maybe few hours, I want my primary is back and I want to join this primary as a standby role, and it has to get all the changes whatever it does, okay, in the primary, in the new primary. Okay, for this what we can do is, so we can use the PG rewind option, okay, and we can bring back this cluster as a, we can rejoin this cluster in the replication as a new standby. Okay, so now what I can do, so even let me manager -f configuration file. Here also I can just check cluster show. Okay, so here if you see, it is unable to connect to the database because your right now it is uh, down, right? So it is not able to connect. Okay, now what I will do, I will just try to check whether I can able to rejoin this node back to primary or not. Okay, so before that what I can do, I have to do a checkpoint in this cluster. Okay, new primary cluster, I have to do a checkpoint so that it will, whatever the changes it has in the wall file, it will flush, and all the data it will capture and it will write to the standby with the help of PG rewind. So before that, let me do rep manager. This is my configuration file, and I have a command called node service. Okay, and with the help of node service, I can do a checkpoint. For this, I have an option called action equal to restart and hyphen checkpoint. Okay, so I have done a force checkpoint in my new primary, and now I can just directly check whether I can able to join my node or not. So let me do cluster show. So in the cluster show, as we know, it is failed and it is running. So to rejoin node, I have a utility called node rejoin, rep manager, node rejoin option, and this is my configuration file. Okay, and to do a PG rewind, so basically here we are using the PG rewind option, right? So to do that, okay, so we need to do the PG rewind from the fail node, not here. So come to here. Here I can just use rep manager, node rejoin, Okay, this is my configuration file. Now I want to connect to remote machine. Okay, so from which machine you need to replicate your cluster and you need to rejoin. Okay, so I want to, yeah, so let me add this IP. This is the host which I'm going to connect. Here I can mention like host equal to, this is my host, and user equal to rep manager. Okay, and DB name equal to rep manager. Here I'm using the rewind option. So hyphen force equal to rewind. This is very important. So when you can do the rewind option basically, so to do this PG rewind, you should enable the wall lock-ins parameter. If you not enable that wall lock-ins parameter, you cannot able to do a PG rewind. So that is the reason it's very important that we need to enable that parameter. Okay, and as a part of PG rewind, I don't want to replicate my configuration files. For example, I don't want postgresql.conf and postgresql.autoconf to be replicate. So in that situation, we can exclude with the help of config file option. Okay, so we have a config files equal to, for example, I don't want postgresql.conf file, comma, I don't want postgresql.auto.conf. Okay, and you can add hp.conf if you like. Okay, so if you don't want to replicate. So for now, I don't want these two options, and I can use the verbose option to see my output. Okay, and I will do a dry run before whether it is able to whether this node is able to join as a new cluster or not. I can just do a dry run. So let's do that. Okay, force rewind. It's not. Port file, no row to host. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me disable the firewall on both the sides. Now let me check the same command again. Okay, connect to port plus. Okay, so it is doing all the prerequisites. So what it is telling, this is the configuration file and rejoin target node. Okay, and replication connection, and it is giving the unique identity. And if you see, it is using internally PG rewind. Okay, and this is the main command which it is using. So PG rewind is a part of your binaries. Okay, you can use this PG rewind and you can join this cluster with, you are joining with this cluster. Okay, this is a source server. From this source server, this node, okay, it will join as a new standby. So now let's do without dry run. We'll see what happens because it has to join as a new cluster, right? So let me do hyphen, let me remove hyphen dry run. Let me run this. Yeah, primary not found in the PG start replication. Why? Okay, if you see internally what it is checking, So internally it is checking this PG stat utility. From there it is trying to identify the node details, right? So I think maximum it will attempt 60 attempts, and if it is not able to it is not able to rejoin, then it will fail. So let's see what happens. So the prerequisites, it is not complaining anything, but while doing the actual node rejoin, so it is complaining somehow. So let's wait what it happens. Node rejoin not met, and while is this? Okay, why it has to look for primary ID basically. PG rewind is not met. PG rewind -d. This is my IP of my not 11. Okay, it's connecting with this, and the timeout value is not able to connect to this somehow. Okay, so what I can do, let me do a cluster show command or know what it is. Oh, it does. Okay, probably we should have wait. Okay, so if you see here, now, if you see here, it is a primary and it has took the standby role right now and it is running. Okay, so but we'll see whether it is running or not. It is running. Let me connect here. Let me see whether it has get some sync. Okay, but looks like this table is not replicated. Somehow it is not properly do the PG rewind. Okay, so what we can do, probably tomorrow we can we can just leave as it is up to where we have did. Okay, so tomorrow we'll see how to rejoin this node with the help of PG rewind. Okay, so we'll see how to rejoin node back. Okay, so because of somehow it is missing, now we need to see why exactly it is not able to identify this primary. Okay. Yeah, so this we'll see tomorrow, how to rejoin the node, and also tomorrow we'll see how to do a switchovers. Okay, how we can do a switchover as a part of rep manager. Okay, any questions so far? Don't worry about this PG rewind. We'll see it tomorrow. Okay, how to rejoin, and followed by switchovers also we can do it tomorrow. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, if no questions, we can catch up tomorrow with switchovers and node rejoin if it is failed. Okay. Yeah, thank you for your time today. Tomorrow we'll catch up. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.